My name is Katherine Olmstead and I'm an International Master Florist.
Through Under the Rose, I offer a whole range of floral services rooted in sustainability, artistry, and storytelling. From custom floral designs for events to wearable floral art and creative projects to teaching. So I offer workshops and one-on-one sessions for creatives, florists, and those who want to really learn about the industry and deepen their connection to floral design.
My floral design background begins in my mum's garden before I could walk, and my first gifts were floral gardening tools, and my mum basically socialized me this way. She used to take me to Canada Blooms, which is a massive garden show with all kinds of floral competitions and landscape installations. And that was my first exposure to floral installations and garden design and all that goes into it. And I got to build my connection with flowers over that time. That was when my eyes first opened to the career possibility.
I chose the name Under the Rose because it carries a sense of mystery and meaning that felt right for what I do. Historically, a rose held above a meeting symbolized secrecy. Sub rosa in Latin literally means under the rose. It meant the conversation was to be kept in confidence. That idea really resonated with me because flowers have always felt like keepers of stories. The floral industry keeps so many stories for people, and they're fleeting and emotional, and they're powerful in really quiet ways. Under the Rose is about creating work that holds space for those unspoken things. It's where meaning and beauty and intention come together in the most natural way.
I'm inspired by the seasons for this bouquet because in the middle of summer it's hot and things are starting to dry. It's the best time to do dried flower design, and I like to combine dried with fresh flowers because I think it just looks a little bit more vegetative, a little bit more natural to the rhythm of what's happening outside. I'm probably most inspired by the challenge of sustainability and how it's become an increased need, especially with certain materials that florists have used over the years and all of the other materials that are out there to kind of problem solve with and play with and also shift perspective on. Shared nurseries was my dream job when I was a teenager, and I worked in all of the departments because I was just obsessed with the greenhouse and annuals and perennials and the humidity in the summertime, and I loved hearing people's stories about how plants were passed down through generations. The first time I got to do a flower order was for a baby's funeral, and I got to see what the ritual of offering a wreath and what that symbolized and how it brought solace to the family, and being a part of people's personal moments in that kind of way opened my eyes up to how important floristry is. I did work at Brown's. I was a checker. I checked arrangements before they went out, and that was the beginning of me learning how to look at other people's designs in a critical way that was meant to help us all grow and learn and become better. And you quickly build your portfolio after 16-hour shifts on a holiday and early mornings going to a grower. They had invested in lots of our training and education and opportunities to learn about what a career looks like in floral design and how much there was to learn. So I feel like I was raised by hundreds of years of experience collectively within that company. I want to model the opportunities that I got to see modeled to me and show that it is an industry that can be respected in Victoria and in Canada in a way that it has not been in the last few years. In floral design, there's levels of certification which you can achieve. In the United States, there's AIFD, which is the American Institute of Floral Design, and then in Europe, there's your EMC. So there's different courses and levels of mastery, and a colleague of mine at Brown's, who was an AIFD member, she had asked me to assist her at a symposium with another colleague. We were able to go to Vegas and meet amazing designers with all sorts of backgrounds and witness a World Cup competition on stage. And that was when it was first modeled to me that you could progress in the floral industry. That's where I was first invited to come to the Netherlands and train at Burma with world-class teachers, and that's what I went on to do.
My favorite line when I was being taught by Gregor Lersch, who is a International Master Florist teacher, was that symmetry is like the mother of design and asymmetry is the freedom after the war.
It shocked me that I was able to learn at their level and learn so much so quickly. The moment that I realized that I might actually pass, I was terrified because I was the youngest one in the class and I was amongst people who were all like superheroes to me. They were amazing and they've written books and I continue to look up to their work. I realized that I was going to have to dig down pretty deep into that younger version of myself in the garden that was watching how things grew and were resilient, and I had to kind of pull that out of the bag. The critique was the most useful part of the whole program because that was where we got to kind of grow and keep challenging ourselves, and to accept compliments as well on our work was a really difficult thing. Acknowledging the impermanence of everything and being able to be present in that and witness beauty and acknowledge that the cycles are okay when they end, because you get to see them at the peak of their beauty and you see them restart, and as a florist you just learn to love the dirt and the thorns and the roots and the whole thing. I've learned that chaos can be organized when you learn how to build structures, same as you would in a design. And I've learned that flowers make people more human.
It's a lot of trial and error. When I do my classes and I'm teaching styles like this, I'm really just teaching elements of design and mechanics and the structures to make a strong foundation, and then I'm teaching play and losing the fear around play, because that's really important. So we have a safe and fun space to just try different things, because that's the only way to make cool things happen. I believe solid technique is what gives you the freedom to create with confidence, and the artistry is what gives it that soul and emotion. So in my workshops, I always start with the foundations and the basic elements of design that we'll be pulling on the most, like line, form, color, and then the mechanics and the structure and the why behind it are all really important. So I encourage students to bring their stories into the work, because when both are honored, you get pieces that are not only technically sound, but emotionally resonant as well. I'm inspired by nature, and I always have been in my design work. Seasonality and how impermanent everything is, and our ability to tell stories through forms and colors and nature that might not look pretty at first, but then we're able to shift perspective on it through artistry. And then the personal little legacies that we carry through our everyday rituals and our upbringings and our culture. There's so much inspiration to pull into floral designs. I mean, we work with people so much. I love this part because it's really just active listening, and listening to people's stories, and you get a feeling pretty quickly about the feeling that somebody wants to share with someone else and the sentiment that they want to share. So I'm usually imagining in my mind the colors and the forms that that person looks like or who they're sending to looks like, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's really just taking all of that information and forming something in my mind and building the nature in my brain around the sentiment. I want to understand not just what someone likes, but how they want to feel. From there, I picture where the piece will be displayed and how it should make that space feel, and I let the flowers guide the form, because you have to with nature. Intuition is built off of practice, right? So when I started flowers, I thought this feels good in my eyeballs, and then I would get so frustrated and I wouldn't be able to fix things. And the beauty of getting some training is being able to communicate to yourself why it looks good in your eyeballs, you know, because then it's measurable and there's a schema and there's reasons that you can tell yourself, okay, you know, I've got white that's heavy over here and it's offsetting the white of the wood over here, and that's why the weight feels a little bit more proportionate and balanced. In a floral industry, you never know what's going to walk in the door, whether it's a wedding order or for a movie set or for a celebrity or
You know, a big funeral, you never know what your day is going to be, and I always thought that was quite exciting.
I wish more aspiring florists knew that floristry is a skilled trade, one that requires hard work, and it relies on history and technique and emotional intelligence, definitely, and the ability to envision nature and build with it. In Canada, I see that it's a minimum wage retail job, but in many parts of the world, it's treated like couture fashion or like being a trained chef. And I want others to know that floristry can be a lifelong craft and a career and not just a retail experience. I invite you to stay connected for updates on upcoming workshops and classes, both at the gardens at HCP and abroad.